Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. In today's episode, we're gonna show you how we frame this garage here behind me. We're gonna go from concrete to what it is right now. We're gonna show you guys the process, so get ready, here we go. Before we go any further, here's how you can win a $50 Visa gift card in this video. All you have to do is subscribe, comment the word hammer down below, and come back next Monday, July 7th to figure out who won this giveaway. Now back to the video. This garage is built in such a way that it has no windows on that wall, one big window on the back, a little walk door on this side, and a garage door on the front, along with a little mini carport over here off to the side at 10 by 10. And so we're gonna start with that wall that has no windows, and it's 20 foot long. Our garage is 12 foot wide by 20 foot long with a 10 by 10 carport over here. And so our very first task today, right out the gate, is to get this 20 foot long section of wall done. And then from there, we're gonna jump over to the window wall on the back, knock that out, do the other long wall right here behind me, and then we'll do the front wall over here with the garage door. We're gonna get an easy victory first and knock out this 20 foot wall that has no windows, no doors, and get that little boost, that little morale boost, a little light work action. So here we go. First things first, we're gonna do our bottom plate and get this thing laid out as to where it goes. I'm gonna make sure it lines up over here, 3.5 inches in. Maybe one day I'll do a video on how to do proper layout on all of our bottom plate and stuff. For now, we'll show you guys general basics. So in framing, what you typically want to have in a perfect world scenario is we have one nailer and one cutter. We work in pairs of twos. So that is the ideal world scenario for framing when it comes to actually building something or building a home. The layout's complete. We're ready for some studs. Let the fun part begin, and we good to go. Honestly, these smaller projects are probably the ones that are a little bit more annoying because you don't have a lot of space to work with. On a bigger home, it'd be a lot easier and a lot more space, but you got more work to do, so pick your poison. The video overheated, or the camera overheated, but we ended up getting this entire wall here behind me built, and now we're gonna rinse and repeat, do the same exact thing on this side. We're cutting our bottom plate around this pipe, so if you ever encounter a pipe like this, you can split your bottom plate up and do it to the side of the pipe and then split it and do the other side as well, which I'll show you guys here in just a second how that goes. So we're gonna lay out our bottom plate right now, mark all of our anchor bolts on the bottom plate so that we can later drill our holes. And then from there, we're gonna get to throwing all of our layout on our plates so that you guys can see how we do that as well. So once we got our marks on the plate, we come back with our speed square and we square them over to the other plate that is next to it. So you only have to mark once with your measuring tape, and then you mark the X on the other side, and that's how we transfer the marks from one plate to the other plate. Then once that's done, we know where every stud goes on our bottom and our top plate. Maybe one day I'll do a full video as to how we do our layout, but this is ready for our studs. And now we're gonna lay out our studs individually where they go. And then from there, we'll nail our top plate, our bottom plate onto the studs, our double top plate, and then stand that thing up and get it ready for the rest of the walls. So I'm gonna throw you guys in a time lapse and we're gonna knock this wall out real quick. Now that our wall on this whole side over here is fully complete, we're jumping straight to the back wall that has a big old window in it. So I'm gonna get that moving and getting that framed up right now. So I'm gonna show you guys a couple little tips and tricks that I do in order to frame this wall. So I like to start with either the bottom plate or the top plate. And I like to work in a way that I walk forward. What I mean by that is, as I'm working, I walk forward and not backwards. Sounds pretty self-explanatory, but you'll see a lot of guys in the trades working backwards like this. Always work forwards because you can be smoother and you can see where you're going, and things are more efficient that way and faster. And honestly, I'll catch myself sometimes doing that. Studs are nailed on at the bottom. Now I'm going to slide my top plate over to it. Same exact thing. Work walking forward. Boom, bam, bop, bada, bop, boom, pow. A little tip, if you don't want the block to split, you can add a nail through the side, which I'll show you like this. Set it on something solid, the concrete, header, anything like that. Make sure your fingers are out of the way, because sometimes the nail kicks out the side like that. So fingers out of the way, be careful. But then that makes the block more stronger because it has that nail going all the way through it, which doesn't allow it to split down the middle. So that's a little tip to help you guys if you're ever dealing with a block splitting on you more frequently. And it typically happens when blocks are really small. When they're bigger, I mean, you don't have any issue like that, but that's typically what happens. Keep your fingers out of the way when nailing small blocks. You don't want to get shot. It hurts. It's not fun. You only do it once or twice or 3 times until you really learn. Ask me how I know. Now we're going to go up with the wall, lift it up. It's time to go up. Now that we got it done. There it is. Got it?
Yes, sir.
All right, time to jump to the front. Over here, over here. We got a little beam to put up, a little beamacita. A little Spanish lesson for you guys. If you ever want to learn Spanish, maybe I'll start doing some teaching throughout the video. Yeah. Beam in Spanish is beam.
No beam.
No beam. No. Beam. You know the little Instagram reels?
Yeah.
Spanish word of the day, but we'll do like actual words. We're gonna get going now on the beams. The first beam for the carport is installed. It's right up there up top, and now we're gonna come out this way across the front and then go back into the building over on the right side, and that will kind of box out the whole carport as to where it's gonna go, and then that will kind of do the framing portion of the bottom part for the carport. Then we'll jump up on top of it and throw our joists across the top, and then from there we're going to work on the roof, get the roof cut out. And it seems like a lot of steps because it actually is a lot of steps, but when you do it enough it becomes really easy and you don't worry about it. So we're gonna knock this out right now in the next 15-30 minutes, and then jump to ceiling joists, knock that out in probably 30 minutes, and then start cutting roof, and we'll see how far we get for the rest of today. A little bit of ASMR now that we got some Members Mark Messi sports drink. We got the old canopy up. Boy, oh boy, is it saving our backs and our necks from getting burnt on by the sun, as well as our GoPro. Our GoPro is dying because of the heat, but we are getting moving on ceiling joists for this little carport over here. Our beams are now up all the way around the perimeter, and we are good to go to start joisting it. We got our bracing for the carport area. We got a brace going from this point down to the bottom of the fence over here, and that is the closest point that is nice and sturdy and not going to move on the bottom plate of the fence. And then we also got another brace over here on the top of this beam because it had a little bow in it, so we pulled it in using that brace going down to the bottom of the wall over there. And so now all I got to do is jump up top, do my layout, throw the joists, and then we can move on to our strong backs and our deadwood blocking for the sheetrock and get this thing moving. Maybe jump to roof here in a little bit, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. My layout is complete up top, and now I'm gonna take you guys up and show y'all how we're gonna do our joists right here in this area. As you can see, I got my layout. X stands for rafter, O stands for a joist, just like that right there, indicating on the top of the beam right here. Same thing for our wall. X will stand for a rafter right there. X for a rafter right there, and then O was be underneath this and start here. But the O would stand for a joist, and that's how we do all of our standard roof or top plate layout for our roof and ceiling. So now what I'm going to do is take my ceiling joists right here, and I'm going to lay them out behind me, going from this side all the way to the other side over there, and then nail them off. Once I get that done, we're going to throw our strong back across all the joists with a 2x4 and a 2x6 to stiffen them all up and make sure that they're not bowed in the middle and whatnot. So that's what I'm going to do right now, and we're going to bust this out real quick. Here we go. The ceiling joist framing is complete, and now we're moving on to doing the rafter portion of the job. We got all of our joists in, or we got our strong back in, we got our 2x6 stiffener on the side of the strong back, we got all of our deadwood in across the whole entire roof. Our layout is complete for our rafters all around the perimeter. Since we are doing a hip rafter roof, we can go ahead and do all of our locations for that, and we don't need to do anything on the gable ends because there is no gable ends. So now we are ready for our roof to start being cut, and immediately what Dave is doing is cutting a roof patron, our pattern that we use to cut our roof. And so he's down there. Let's hop down there and see what he has going on. What he has mocked up is our tail and our cut for a rafter, and he's adding a little template on the side to hold it up against the rafter. As he slides it down the board, it can sit tight against the top. And so once he gets that nailed on, I'll show you guys how that works and the process of marking for your rafters. So this is what David's getting going on right now, is our first rafter. He got his first mark ready to go. He's gonna cut it. And using our patron, or our pattern, which he has made right here, we use the front end to mark the first cut of the rafter, which is right there. We got the ridge cut up against the ridge on top. And then use our seat cut right here along with our tail that sticks out the back on the back over there. So we'll show you guys how this works. He just marked the measurement using all of our measurements that we got with our calculator right there. We got our small roof for the left side, got our big roof for the right side right there, and then he's marking the measurement. You take your pattern, or patron in our case, he's gonna do a mark right there on the front to simulate where the seat cut goes, slide it over, mark the bottom, boom, and then mark our tail. From there, he's going to rinse and repeat using this pattern right here. He can cut all of the rafters a lot more efficiently and a lot quicker, and that's going to allow us to knock the roof out faster than doing that individually marking every single time. So now we're going to cut 5 of these, get them laid up on the roof up there on the top so we can get our ridge and location, and then we can get our little hips, the front hip right here, the other hip in the other corner, our ridge on the middle, and then we'll work on the small section right now. So we're going to get 5 of these cut so we can get the roof punteado is how we call it. That's how you say it, right, bro? Punteado. So that's how we say it up top. We're going to go ahead and get all the points in on the top of the roof and then work on everything else as we speak. Let's climb on up and let me show you guys what all we got done on the roof after getting it all cut. We have our ridge beam right there for the main portion of the roof installed. Our other ridge beam coming off of that for the smaller carport area underneath right here. And then we have a couple little rafters put up, not all of them, but a couple of them, just so that we can get the rafters and the ridge beam and our hips all installed and kind of get it roughly laid out. And then we come back and fill in between. So we have our ridge right here, our main ridge beam on top. We have our rafter right here. This one right here is our rafter. We have our little hip going down to the corner over there. Another rafter right here, along with a ridge beam going that way over the carport. A couple rafters just to kind of get it in a central location. You put 2 of them and that centers it, and then you put the other one on the back and that helps lift it up into the proper height. And then on this side over here, we got both of our little hips, one right there, one right there. We're missing our valley at the moment. We forgot to cut it, and it's kind of late in the day, so we're going to come back another day and knock that out, as well as fill in the rest of the roof. We got our hip in the front, other hip in the front, and that will conclude day 2, or really, I mean, you could say this is day 1. We have about a half day on day 1 and a half day on day 2. So this is really like day 1. And so it's about a total of 8 hours of work, and we've done quite a bit. We finished up all the walls, ceiling, over 50% of the roof, and so our framing portion of the job will be done pretty soon on day 3, really you could say that's day 2, but day 3 when we get back. And so when we get back on day 3, I'll give you guys some tips and tricks as to how to do the rest of the roof and how to finish out all the framing and everything an inspector is going to look for when it comes to the framing inspection. We're back for day 3 of the project, and immediately what I'm going to jump to is taking care of filling in all of the roof. I have a valley to install right here in this portion of the roof, and then a bunch of jacks to put in and a couple common rafters. So I'm going to get set up and start knocking all of that out. Got a jack rafter to go right here, another one over there, and what I like to do is put one in first, and since this is such a small hip, I can use that one as a brace to kind of push and pull where I want this little hip to be so that we get it straightened out. So for example, right here what I'll do is nail the bottom of my rafter, make sure that it's seated nice and tight up against the top plate. David will tell me with his eye where he wants it. Right, we're at right there? Yeah. Good. And then that straightens it out and down it, and this is kind of like a brace. And this works for a small hip. On a larger hip, you would probably use 2x4s just to brace it temporarily, and then add your jacks and then take the braces off. But for this scenario, it works perfect. We're gonna work our way down this side now, finishing this whole right corner over on the right side of the roof. I'm gonna start over here next. I'm gonna fill in the back side over there, this corner right here, the other corner on the other side over there, and then I'll fill on this part right here in front of the camera so that you guys can see how we do the valley along with our jacks inside the valley. So let me climb my way over there on the back side of this hipped roof and fill it in. Here we go. All right, I got my valley in. Now I can take my measurements, 25 3/8. These you have to do individually. Unfortunately, 52.5. I'll write them down while David's doing the other thing. That's a common rafter without a tail. The entire roof is now complete, and we are wrapped up with the framing portion up here on the roof. Let me hop down and show you guys what it looks like from down below. But as far as the framing for the roof portion, we are braced off. We have all of our braces and supports for our ridges, our valleys, our hips. All of our jacks are in. We got our supports right here going down to the wall with our bracing, along with our collar ties right there in the middle, which is what these bad boys are right here. So we got everything we need for the framing portion on the roof. Let me hop down and show you guys what it looks like from down below. This is the final product of the framing from down below. Everything is complete for the walls, ceiling joists, roof, our framing for the windows and doors. Everything is good to go. Thanks for tuning in with us as we knocked out this framing on this garage here behind me. That's a wrap for this video. Hopefully all the tips and tricks in this video helped you guys at home understand how framing happens on a job site. Until the next video, keep on building.